N-O-S-T, Nost. H-E-A-I-N. Again. Nost again.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of our web series, memorabilia.mp4. As an ongoing web series, memorabilia.mp4 features artists, scholars, and nostalgia enthusiasts in 1-hour episodes, 20-minute talk, and 40-minute live Q&A. Today, I will be your moderator. My name is Derek Pasborg. I use the pronouns they, them. I am a master's student in sociology, and today we are joined by Debora Alanna and Bora Bodur, also known as Ora4art. Ora4art is a collective founded in 2018 by Debora Alanna and Bora Bodur. They mainly create psychogeographies and poetics in virtual spaces, which become videos, a few of which we will have the pleasure of showing you all today. Debora and Bora, without further ado, we can go ahead and start with one of your videos.
Okay, so that's called Saudade, which is referring to the nostalgic state of longing for something that cannot be attained. It's a word that comes from the Portuguese and other sort of galactic sources of it. And it began as a 3D object that Bora created, which was a dragon's head skull, which in itself is a mythic example of past longing for kind of fortification of spirits. And I created multiples in virtual reality and incorporated drawings of energy fields that connected all these multiples. So it's the way that people are thinking about the past as repeated thought patterns and how cumulative they become something other than the original thought. They become an environment or, in fact, a psychogeography. You want to talk about for the process that you used?
So I examined various past bone structures, especially was interested in T-Rex some and transferred it into, I mean, scanned and transferred some of the basics, and they are produced a derivation of that with double chin. Doesn't have a double chin. Anyway, so when it became solid, I shared it with Debora. The other structure you are seeing is, around there is a tongue, that symbolizes the unspoken. Yeah.
Whatever is up next is also, I think.
This next video is called Cultivating Portents.
Yeah, so it's very much involved with nostalgia because the soundtrack is from Singa, which is a composer of Icelandic descent, and she happens to be my daughter as well. So it's using the sound recordings of my grandmother, her great-grandmother, posthumously. So there's nostalgia for the whole set of ideas that come from Icelandic myths and story folk tales, as well as there's objects that Bora created, which is an ark. You want to talk about the ark in that video? Show the video and then we'll talk about
Let's show it. Let's show it.
So,
Fantastic.
do you want to talk about the art?
That art is a cross section of a snail, actually a crossbeam living in the water. It has a golden ratio to it. It is half scanned, like, it wasn't replying well to a scan, so I need to reveal the other half myself. So it has a technological feature to it. So I came up with that in the Banff area. I found it in the Banff area, Canada. It was a really pleasing moment for me because of the beauty and I was fascinated by the environment. So it's what we call it sacred.
Sacred.
Yeah, sacred. Yes.
So inside those arts is a microscopic image that made into 3D object of tears when you cross different regions, the chemistry changes. And I found on the Smithsonian site tears that were photographed under the microscope, and this particular one was a tear of longing. So that's inside each one of those arcs. And my apologies to Tear for some reason the sound isn't working as pristinely. It's a beautiful recording, but it sounds
This
kind of
this webinar call does not do the audio any credit.
anyway. I see that she's one of the audience, so thank you.
Shall we move on to your next video? So
Let's
this
do that.
next one is called Chimeric Reality.
I'll give it a little bit of introduction. We were invited to participate in a Milieu Institute for Art and Culture show called something
In the middle.
in the middle of Chimera. Yeah. So we had a series of videos for that presentation that included all of our various collaborators at that time. One of the senior collaborators is an artist from Victoria called Lance Austin Olson. And he shared a painting of his work, and I extruded, I think it's the word, the image to form an environment. And his sound is involved there as well. So perhaps you go ahead and then we'll talk more about it. So the whole premise of a lost state of sensibility comes from Lance's work, which is he grew up in Africa, and his work is about the belt, which is no longer in the state it was when he was a child. And he paints many things, but that was one of the things he was painting. And also that soundtracks are emerging of his sound sculptures, sound environments, sound design. He creates them from both found sound and from just objects that he collects. And on top of that is me playing the piano. So that's there as well. We can go to the next one.
Yes. This next one is called Cromulent Wedge.
So there's several forest 3D objects in this one. We've got maps. We've got that grid. I forget what it's called, Kronk. And we also have 3D scans of Andre Ferlani, who's a professor at Concordia. He kindly allowed me to scan his body. And perhaps, Bora, you tell us about the objects, the Kronk and the maps.
So those are kind of post-medieval time surface for hanging deerskin and that kind of material to tighten up, and before paint you use that pieces. It was another scan project. I found them in I found them in a village close to Bonn in Germany, in a mountain village.
And so the whole premise is about how we value what is causing us to feel nostalgic, because we have the image that doesn't move, it's stationary, it's like a sculpture that never changes shape, and we have the past of the grids, and also involved are maps, but the maps are framed without any substance in them, so it's like this being in the world and not in the world. So that's what's going on there.
Fascinating. Shall we move on to your next video? Okay, so this next one is titled Avian Instincts.
There's something about our instincts or intuitions. 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 There's something about our instincts or intuitions are affective, personal, inform our process of reason. There's something about our instincts or intuitions. There's something about our instincts. There's something about our instincts or intuitions. There's something about our instincts or there's something about our instincts or intuitions. There's something about our instincts or intuitions. Personal, our personal. There's something about our instincts or intuitions. Our impulses, our affective, personal, informs our process of reason. There's something about our instincts or intuitions. There's something about our instincts or intuitions. Instincts or intuitions. There's something about our instincts or intuitions. Emotions or intuitions. There's something about our instincts or intuitions. Personal, personal. There's something about our instincts or intuitions. Our impulses, our affective, personal, informed our
So we've got some more forest objects in there. Painting by a collaborator named Roy Green from Victoria. He allowed us to use his painting of birds, which were created into multiples, and drawings were made to showcase the emotive aspects, the connectivity between the animal instinct and our own. You want to talk about your object in there? That was...
I mean, most of the objects in that one is from our meetings with Debora. When we came together, we drove and drove, and on that way to transfer them into the 3D environment. There are pieces of programming and might be
right. And also in there are some more scans from Andre Trelawney's hands that became glitched, and multiples were made. So it's a nice balance of the natural world and ours, and that you're
relate.
Yeah, it's searching for connectivity. And if it's nostalgic, it's because people used to do it better than we do now. And so that's where that is situated.
Okay, that's great. So there is one video left. Shall we proceed into that?
Please.
Okay, so this last one is called In Time.
Well, that's got a beautiful fluid soundtrack, believe it or not, by Barry Zabala, who is an American collaborator. We've been working together for a couple of years now, and also Andre's voice is there. He allowed me to snatch bits. Well, I was able to record the lectures he gave, and he's very kindly allowed me to use them in the VR. And we inspire each other. So because it's about time, there's no quibble that it's about being in a state of presence and how that moves and flows in an emotional way, and that's how you get all this kind of watery sense, although it's all orangey red and intense. Whatever happens between people is an emotive experience. And that's a psychogeography, not necessarily about buildings, but about how people interact with each other over time, within time, and together we create a presence. So that's that.
That's fantastic. And now you also did share with me a 3D scan of a stone circle pillar. Would you like me to share that as well? Did you want to comment on that before we got into the focused Q&A aspect?
Well, we're in Scotland at the Cove Park residency, and we had a little bit of a wait while we arrived in the UK, and we took opportunity to go to a stone circle, which for a scan, and we are going to be using that in our 3D virtual environments in the future. So this is an actual scan of one of the stone circle upright stones. How old it is, I'm not really sure, but it's very, very ancient.
And very, very intricate and beautiful.
So that will be finding its way into our work in the future.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much for presenting your work. So now we move into the moderator-led Q&A. Unfortunately, my colleague is not here right now, so it'll be me directing a few questions. And I would like to begin by discussing what your process is for adding the visual and auditory elements to your works. More specifically, when you work in VR, do you imagine these spaces as already having these layers realized, so to speak, or does the process begin from a form closer to a blank slate?
Thing is blank slate. It's all about how we interact with each other. That has got a texture. It's got an emotional vibrancy. It's got a life, and the music is chosen and informs that. Like with each composer, they have their own personality. Roy's got a very upbeat kind of poppy sense that's complex and generative. Tears' music is incredibly enmeshed in mystic existence and a passion that is unrealized by many people. That is, it just fires everything. His music is. Sometimes he works with a woman named Claire Biome, and together they also produce these kind of classical but contemporary interactions that are also informed by what Lance was doing, which is found objects and fragmentation of music itself. So each one of those is a way of entering a certain way of what we're thinking about. And as our thoughts come to us, they're sometimes shared, sometimes just felt. They don't really communicate in words. So I would say it starts with the feeling, and then it goes to the sound. And then the sound is not a blanket so much as the groundwork for what else is created. So then I choose one of Bora's 3D objects. Sometimes he produces one specifically. Sometimes I use what he's done and combine them. Sometimes it comes from what I've done, and together we formulate that. Each one of the works is contingent on some form of vibrancy from a mythic past or mystical past. But interestingly, I often use idioms as titles. So it's the deeper meaning from the vernacular. So what people want to express is way beyond what the words are showing, because each idiom has it's rooted in a tradition, yet it's in very contemporary as well. It becomes incredibly current. So I'm not sure. Does that answer your question?
No, that's beautiful, and I think you kind of went even like beyond what I was kind of expecting. Bora, did you want to add anything to that?
So, Chicago, I think that what I say, like, not only objects are giving the sense, but colors are really important. Like the color expressing our feelings too. Like the spectrum changes with our mood, and people reflect that sometimes they feel when we get feedback, sometimes it feels makes them happy, sometimes sad, sometimes angry. It changes, which is a good reactive way. I enjoy that a lot.
Yes. So, I mean, I think you were already speaking to this in the previous question, but like in these works that you've shown off, you often represent this idea of in-betweenness, and like the incomplete or repeating phrases and sounds, or images and sculptures that often are the same or have like different ways of posing or juxtaposing themselves. Are these VR spaces suited for capturing these kind of the effective element of all these things you're trying to capture, the in-between state that you can kind of represent a multitude of ways?
Well, absolutely. It's very exciting. It's a very simple software that I used to use tilt brushes, you could see on some of the earlier videos. And then that was before I knew I could turn off the logo, so it's there. But then when tilt brush ended, when Google decided to withdraw, it became a open source through OpenBrush, and I have never been. It's always satisfying to be able to evolve the software to accommodate the liminal. I have not got bored with it or run out of ideas. It's constantly renewing itself in terms of that. The next stage will be working in a game engine, which is terrifying for me, but it's going to happen, and I'm going to be involving AI as an event. We're going to continue collaborating with scanning and stuff like that, and then I'm sure that will evolve too. But the concentration of the subject will be mythology.
That's fantastic. Bora, did you want to add?
I'm okay with it.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, yeah, we can definitely hear you a little bit better. In thinking about the inspirations behind the creation of these virtual spaces, I know it might be difficult to do, but what work or works do you feel speaks or evokes the most about yourselves? You discuss how this is kind of like an interplay between your two affective selves, your emotional selves, but also like representing your own thoughts and feelings as well. If those works could speak, what would they say?
Keep on playing. It's really important to extract this from academia, because art exists in a state of play. If you don't play, you don't get anywhere. And so you have to release any preconception. You have to allow yourself to abandon to the software or whatever media is involved. And then you can transcend it. If you were so worried about specifics of what is working today or tomorrow or whatever, there's not one time that it doesn't not work somehow. But if you just allow that to like the use of glitch, when you use glitch in many softwares now, it's cultivated as something that's very, very valuable. And each one of these environments has some glitch somewhere. And you hone in on that, and it becomes kind of a beacon of what is supposedly going wrong, becomes the raison d'etre for it. It's like, oh, here's why we're here today. And so it evolves. For me, that's how it works.
It kind of resonates with each other, like bounces back off in a different way, and she sees it in a different way. Our perception changes it, and it becomes the final product. It is not a final product yet. They are videos, but if they are we are going to transfer them into VR environment. When it is transferred like that, it will be evolving again.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Depending on the day,
the hour, the minute,
the hour of the day, cloud. Anyway.
Are the birds singing?
I guess speaking to that idea, and I guess returning back to nostalgia. What sense are these spaces nostalgic archives? How are they constructed as such in the way that you do it? Like you've mentioned, like it captures a specific moment in time, a specific feeling, the rain falling, the sun shining, the birds chirping. What is the feeling you have when you kind of reflect on these works or come back to it in terms of like a genealogy?
You want to speak to that?
Well, in I first got my first computer in 1994 when it was still green. So we were coding 2 pages or 3 pages just to change the color of the screen to a solid color, not a spectrum, didn't have a nice spectrum of colors and stuff like that. From that era to now, it has evolved a lot. Like if you want to put something into the virtual world, you can almost make a lively looking. Maybe you have heard about the Quake engine. It's one of the former really leading engines prior to the Unreal Engine, and nowadays they are using what's it called, the latest one.
I don't know. Unity.
And if you compare them, you go from Minecraft to film industry.
But as far as I think,
Yeah.
I've seen it in terms of what we were learning from the onset to have things becoming more sophisticated. And we talked kind of about liminal spaces, and what I'm finding is over time there is a kind of nostalgia for simplicity, because it originated in simple 1-step, 2-step kind of thing. Oh, we're learning to scan today. Oh, we're learning to, and now it's more symphonic compared to like a folk song. So there's nostalgia in that, and it's like something. The acceleration is incredibly fast in terms of what technology can do, but as humans, we need time. We need time to understand where we are first, and then where we've been and where we're going to. And it's not separate. It's not individual bubbles. It's one cohesive existence. So the videos exist independent over 4 or 5 year time period, but they also exist in a cohesive whole as facets of different ways of thinking about something, which is including nostalgia.
Wow, that's a really fantastic response, and really it kind of expands on the notion of thinking about those ideas. I have one final question before I move on to the audience Q&A. And this, I guess, relates more to thinking ahead about your own practices. Where do you think your own work is going to take you? You mentioned that you travel and you get to show your work in all these different spaces, and where do you think these future collaborations and future works will take you?
Good questions. Okay. Yeah, so far that we have had funding, but minimally. And I mean, we could spin the globe and be happy to be wherever we end up. It's not, but we're definitely going to be going to Iceland next year because I have work to do there in terms of rejuvenating what we started. But in the future residencies, I'm sure we talked about the Galapagos, we talked about, you know, who wants to be scanned, you know, it's like, we're not fussy.
Also, we are trying, I mean, we naturally not trying to select, but it comes naturally. We are picking ancient soil where our ancestors are.
Yeah, that's really important. Yeah, it's a connectivity between. See, the Vikings ended up in Turkey, and you know that was really important to note when we were talking initially about our collaboration. And so, one of our ancestors, my ancestors, is the Red King of Scotland. So that's why we're in Scotland.
Yeah. Maybe in Cyprus too. But
yeah, that's Cyprus of Scotland. Yeah. The boats.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. Part of the land masses.
Yeah, Genovese ancestors.
All right, that is fantastic. Thank you so much for answering all my questions. We have one question in the chat from Jay, and they have a few-part question, so bear with me. I'm going to get to reading it. Jay says that I can't regretfully be here virtually with you today. I'm sitting in the middle of a construction site, but they do have a question. To contextualize my question for you, I'll say that a certain concern within my work is how I can make the imperceptible forces that shape my world feel more tangible. At first, it might seem like I'm chasing a bit of a Faustian dream here, wanting to know and reveal everything that lies beneath the surface. But what really interests me isn't just about how a work of art looks on the outside, because it goes much deeper than that. I find myself drawn to the conditions that enable us to picture the hidden forces, and I wonder how an image can resonate with us and stir our emotions in ways that go beyond mere representation. And this exploration encourages me to reflect on my own personal relationship with art. It's about discovering how these works affect my perspective and help me make sense of the unseen elements of my reality, inviting me to see and understand more than what's immediately visible. So my question for you, which is a 2 or 3-part question, is do you think about this in your own work? And if so, would you mind elaborating on what specific imperceptible forces you are trying to make perceptible? And why are they significant to the viewer's understanding of the world? And related to this, how do you think your choice of medium affects our ability to engage with these imperceptible forces?
Okay, well, I happen to know Jay's work very well, so I'm going to speak directly to that particular question. I think, and for me, and I don't know how about you, Bora, but disparate qualities, both of media and ideas, come together and jolt into ways humans can interact with their practice and each other. And that's the whole point of art, in my experience, is an experience. So how you decide, either intuitively, emotively, or by just the fact that what's around happens to be, you know, if it's an accident or if it's intention, is there the fact that these disparate units come together and form a new bond, a new way of experiencing the world, is what makes it resonate with people around you and with the personal involvement an artist has with their own work. Because don't want, at least I don't want something that's sustained to the point of being mundane, although people like John Cage and all of the antecedents, they had a great love of nothingness, of, if you talk about nihilists or you talk about anybody that's got this love of extreme nuance within the context of silence or being in a void, there's that too, but that's a new way of thinking about space as well. I mean, look at Sontag, she's got whole lists of silent qualities. There's that. And then there's people that need hyper dynamics, and that's challenging for them, because if they don't have that, then they're not getting something new. So, for example, Roy Green's music, it's got layers and layers of culture, pop culture, literature, all kinds of people talking on top of people on top of people, and that's so contemporary. It's so much how we are in urban areas, and that is very influential. And bringing that together in my practice, in our practice, with something that is as simple as like a blue line or a kind of lighting that is like a sunrise or a sunset or indiscernible. That's, for example, that early work where Tears music is playing. There's that turquoise environment, and it's so it stimulates a kind of nostalgia for something that is really beautiful, but entirely unattainable. So when you bring these things in a context of the world of technology, you already have a dissonance that is working to build something new, something different, something beyond what is possibly imagined. So it supplants and surpasses one's own imagined spaces. And you have to allow yourself to let go of what you know. You have to allow yourself. What is immersion? You're immersed in these virtual spaces, but you're immersing in what it is to be human, and that's the important thing. If you allow yourself to let go of what you expect and know, then you go to something new.
Yeah, don't limit yourself.
Yeah.
Imagine someone doing oil and canvas production, just expressing himself or herself and enjoying the pleasure while painting, not creating something. It's a change of set of tools, and technology is just aiding it. We are not aiming for the technological production.
Yeah, exactly.
The final product is the byproduct, actually. How we do it is the journey is hard.
But I can speak directly to Jay in saying that of all the things I spoke about or we spoke about, I wish I had as much passion for what he conveys through his work. It's just a small part of what I understand life to be in terms of my passionate capability, and his is always one of his superlative strengths. And just go there, do that, play.
Jace says, wonderful responses. Thank you both. And really, that was a really fantastic answer to that question. This is the last chance. If you have any more questions, feel free to ask them. Otherwise, I think this is a good point to end. I think there's a lot, a lot to think of, and also, I mean, there's more to there's more to just more to your work than just what we've shown here. So, how can the audience find out more about what you're doing?
Yeah, we have an Instagram handle, Ora4art, ORA number 4 and an AR, and that's open to the public, and also on YouTube, the channel Ora4art.
And Easter eggs we have on Google Maps.
Yeah, Google Maps. Oh yeah, the Google Maps. There's
yeah, the places we visit and where we became enchanted. We placed our 3D environments into
Google Maps.
Yeah, 360 with 360 views. You will see inside of them.
Well, that's fantastic. Now send me all those links afterwards, and I'll make sure that they're all in the description of the video that this will be. Debora, Bora, I just wanted to thank you both for coming, and Nostagen invites you to reach out to Debora and Bora through the links that we'll be providing if anything you heard today was of interest and want to continue the dialogue. Also, if you want to stay up to date with the rollout of our memorabilia.mp4 web series as well as future Nostagen network events, please visit us at nostagen.ca, NOSTAGAIN. Thank you again, and we hope that you have a great rest of your day.